Okay, we are on for day 3 of the scoliosis exercises. So today we're going to be working with something called somatic, somatic exercises, and they are essentially, like many of the exercises I do, they're taking the body to one end of motion or range of motion, and then the other end of range of motion. And this gives the nervous system, the little things inside the muscles called the proprioceptors, gives them an opportunity to sort of reset to this is extreme one way, this is extreme the other way, this is the middle. So for example, if I'm sitting all day and my hip here is getting used to this position, it has 8 hours of sort of sitting, the brain is saying, well, muscle, do you want to stay like this? Because it seems like 8 hours is like most of the day, so maybe we should just shorten you up. And the muscle is saying, yeah, I think so. But at the end of the day, if we just kind of walk around a little bit and then go home and sit on the couch, the brain and the muscle are going to agree that's the right thing to do. However, if you then take the leg all the way back as far as it can go this way, and then go from here and go further in this way, now the brain's saying, oh, hang on, you did do 8 hours like this, but then you've just shown me that you like to move all the way here and all the way here. So maybe we shouldn't set you tight here. Maybe we should just set you in the middle. And that's how you get the joints to sort of reset, or the muscles to reset around the joints in the middle. So that's the sort of thing we're going to be doing today. We're going to start with the pelvis. So I want you to be lying down. So I've got my yoga mat ready. So just lie down and get into position, and then I'll be with you. All right. Okay, so we're on. Morning, Barb. Morning, Marilyn. Okay. So you're lying down onto your backs. And we've been working with this idea of cogs. So this is another cog type movement. We're just lying down to do this one. Okay, relax your head down. Might be a bit difficult, so just listen to my voice if you're trying to watch the TV and do this at the same time. Just listen to my voice. Okay, so your knees are bent, your feet are flat on the floor, your head's relaxed. And we take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, let your belly expand, and then breathe out. Now you might feel something happening in your pelvis as you breathe in. You might feel it rocking down towards your feet. So breathe in. Now if you don't feel that, no problems, but as you breathe out, push your spine slightly down to the mat. Breathe out. And now you should feel your pelvis rock backwards slightly. So I call like a backwards movement is when your spine pushes into the ground and your pelvis tilts up towards your ribcage. That's a posterior pelvic tilt. Breathe in again. This time exaggerate that movement so you're lifting your spine away from the ground. Breathe in. Push your pelvis down towards your feet, the top part of your pelvis, or the front part of your pelvis. Now breathe out and allow your spine to go down into the mat or into the ground. Now if you're doing this and it's painful, breathe in. Just shorten up the distance that you're traveling and then breathe out. Nice. So this is a pelvic tilt. Breathe in, or pelvic tilts, I should say. Breathe out. But what we're doing on a sort of a neurological level was saying to the lower back, hey, you could actually move all the way into extensions. That's when you breathe in. Let your pelvis move, and you can also move into flexion a little bit. Breathe out. Flexion here is limited by the ground, which is great. Okay. So we've got the idea of those movements. Now what we're going to do is take the abdominal muscles, the front muscles, which can actually get quite tight, strangely enough, due to our sort of forward posture. And we're going to try and tense those up a little bit and then get them to relax. The way we're going to do that is you're going to put your hands behind your head, relax your elbows down either side, and then as you breathe in, I want you to just really arch your lower back so it's a nice stretch. So breathe in. Belly goes out, and then as you breathe out, bring your elbows towards the ceiling, breathe out, and lift your head up as your back goes down. You don't have to lift far, and you don't really need to lift with your hands. You're more like lifting with the front muscles, so the abdominal muscles. Just try that again. So nice and relaxed, breathe in. This is you stretching your abdominal muscles, breathe out. And this is you contracting and shortening your abdominal muscles. Breathe in. And breathe out. So this is not a sit-up. It looks like one, but it's not. It's more a relaxation here of the abs. You're stretching it out. I'm really feeling it opening up for me. And then breathing out and a shortening. And this is that resetting. And interestingly, you don't have to do many of these because we're communicating with the nervous system. So it's not reps, it's not hundreds of these. It's more like 5 or 6. So we're good with what we've just done there. All right, we're going to do one more of these type of movements now. Make sure there's enough room for you to drop your knees out either side. I just need to move a little bit. So your knees can go out either side like this, and you can bring them back together. Put your hands out either side of you, maybe like 12 inches, 30 centimeters away from your hips. And we're going to do 2 different movements. It's going to be an upper body movement and a lower body movement. As you know, I like to take things from the bottom up and the top down. So let's practice the upper body movement. Do you remember the sagittal cogs from yesterday where we were turning our hands? That's what we're going to do. We're going to turn our hands outwards, bring our shoulder blades in together. And as we do that, you'll notice that maybe your lower back actually lifts up. That's that kind of cog mechanism that I was talking about. So you're going to turn your hands outwards, bring your shoulder blades together. Good. As you breathe in, you're going to let your abdomen expand, and then breathe out. As you breathe out, you're going to turn your hands inwards. Let your shoulder blades almost raise up off the mat here because you're really rotating your shoulder blades inwards. Then breathe in, and then breathe out. Perfect. Okay. So that's the movement you're going to do with your shoulders, and there's another movement that happens in your spine automatically. But we want to capitalize on that automatic movement down the spine. So as you breathe in, you're going to let your knees drop out. So breathe in. Now you'll notice that brings that pelvis into a anterior tilt here, and then breathe out, and then slowly push the spine down to the ground. So breathe in, pelvis moves down towards your feet, arches up on your lower back. You might be able to see here, I get an arch here, and then you breathe out. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to combine those 2 movements. So we've got the hands, thumbs pointing upwards, knees pointing upwards. You're going to breathe in, let your hands flop out to the side, let your knees flop out. So it's quite an open position here. You're getting some tension into your lower back, but you're stretching through the front, and then breathe out. Now keep turning the hands all the way in so you get tension being built in the front part of your chest. You get some tension into your abs as well. Maybe even squeeze your knees together. And breathe in. And then breathe out. Good. So really build the tension up here. Bring the knees together. Turn the backs of your palms here. Backs of your hands towards your hips. Good. Breathe in. Palms go up, almost pointing outwards. Knees go out. Belly relaxes. Good. And then breathe out. Nice. That's the last one. Good. And then relax. Okay. From here, I want you to stand up. Lots of different ways to stand up. I like rolling onto my side, using my opposite hand to push me up into this position. Then I like to go onto all 4s, and then from here, straightening up, and then standing up. Okay, so the reason I like to get up like that is it doesn't put the spine into a compromised position or what could appear like a compromised position. The other day I was talking about how a lot of the time when we feel pain in our lower backs, it's not because there's actually damage, it's because there's a memory of damage. So the spine basically the spine's setting off a signal to the brain, and it's saying, oh, we don't like this. And the brain's going, well, what happened last time we were in a position like this? Oh yeah, we were laid up in bed for 2 weeks with back pain, or we couldn't move for a few days. Let's just shut it down. And so it gives you a signal of pain. So a lot of the times, if we could, use our X-ray vision or MRI into the spine prior to getting a repeat episode of back pain, and just afterwards, there's going to be no difference. There's going to be no difference prior or post. It's just actually a sort of a hypersensitivity and an overreaction of your brain's interpretation of what's going on in the spine. Having said that, it's not pleasant, so there's ways to sort of avoid it. Okay. Now, another one of these ways to train the brain to think differently of the spine is with the foundation training. So we're going to go into that a little bit now. So I want you to stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Bend your knees just a little bit. So if this is locked out, we're just letting them relax ever so slightly. We're not squatting, we're just letting the knees relax. We're going to slide the hips backwards now, keeping the lower back nice and straight. This is good. So this sliding motion, if you find it hard to do this, we could actually put the wall behind you, or if you really want to try this, actually no, everyone try this. Just kneel down if you can, and then from this position, I want you to slide your hips backwards. So if you bend forwards too much, you'll fall, okay? So this is where the slide of the hips has to come backwards. Keep your lower back nice and straight, okay, good, and then come back up. Now from here, I want you to tense your butt muscles just a little bit. You can open up your chest as well. So we're tensing up through our core here, we're tensing up through the butt, and we're opening up our shoulders. And now we're gonna go forwards. Keep those shoulders open actually. Go forwards from here, good, and then come back. So those shoulder blades back on your chest, bend at those hips. Cool. So now we've got the idea of that. You're going to stand up and put those motions into practice in the standing up position. Okay, so shoulder blades back, turn your hands pointing outwards ever so slightly. This helps bring those shoulder blades back and open up the chest. Now, bend the knees, slide those hips back, and you should find that hip hinge slightly easier for you. Good. Now, if you're feeling your hamstrings and lower back working here, this is great. Just hold this position. If you're not feeling it, bring your hands forward slightly into this position like this. Now you can reach forward with your hands, taking your hands this way, taking your head kind of this way and your butt down this way. So you're elongating through your spine. Hold this position. I've got a little timer here. I want to see how we're doing. So you're going to hold this position. Your weight should be back into your heels ever so slightly, so almost you can lift your toes up. This is great. Good, we're going to go a little bit longer. Another 10 seconds. This is great. Okay, and then come back out of that. Come into a nice kind of strong position. Tense your butt, shoulder blades back. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. It's a 30-second hold. And for those of you who want just a little bit more, we're going to be in this position. You could actually just rotate maybe 6 inches one way, and then at 15 seconds, we're going to rotate the other way. I'll tell you how to do that. Okay, everyone in position. Slide your butt backwards. Shoulder blades back. This could be enough for some of you. If you're feeling it here and here, this is great. And then we're going into this position. So this is building strength and endurance into those long muscles of the spine, the paraspinal muscles. So a lot of the time when we actually have back pain, we can weaken those muscles. All right, now I want you just to rotate, if you want, just a little bit off to one side. Remember lengthening through the length of your spine, taking your hands away from you as well. Should be feeling things happening in your lower back. Good, and then go to the other side, just a few inches here. Excellent. This is great. So scoliosis specific exercises, although they are very good for a scoliosis, come back, it's very rare that I meet someone who doesn't need whole body exercises. You know, like the specific exercises you need. Let me back up slightly. So imagine you want to be an athlete, but you're a couch potato. You haven't done any athletic stuff in the past. If you go to the top athletic trainer in the world, and you say, give me some specific exercises to make me, a really fast runner, and he gives you a very complicated running drill that involves, driving off your toe whilst getting your hands in alignment and so on, it's going to be way beyond you. It's not going to have the desired effect. So actually he would say, well, you know what? If you haven't done exercise before, let's just start with walking. So you start putting in the laps walking, then you go into running, and then and then slowly into sprinting, and then you get more and more finesse with specific exercises. So it's similar with this, in that if I have someone with a very deconditioned body, a body that's generally weak, no hip mobility, no hip strength, no foot mobility, no back mobility, no neck mobility, I can't necessarily get them going straight for the scoliosis exercises because their whole body needs to change before we can actually have the benefits of the specific scoliosis exercises. So just bear that in mind when you're watching this and you're saying, why isn't he showing me how to fix the scoliosis? Well, you might not be ready for that yet, and I don't know exactly who's watching, so I've got to go more general and build up to it, okay? All right, so next thing we need to work on with that in mind actually is the hips. So yesterday we worked the front of the hips, and today we're going to work the outside, and today we're going to work the inside of the hips. So I want you to go for an old school classic kind of groin stretch type position. So you're here like this. You should be feeling something down into here. Now if you feel a pinch on the outside of your hip, that's actually quite common, and that happens because of tightness through these hip muscles in here, and it's pulling up on the outside of the hip, and you might be getting a little pinch here. If that happens, just step forward slightly with your foot here. So you can be mirroring me in this position, or you can be taking your left leg forward here. Now as you do this, there should be a drop down on the side that you're feeling a stretch. So I'm feeling a stretch in here, and I'm dropping this hip down here. Perfect. Now I'm going to take this hand up like this and reach, and that's going to start stretching my spine. Then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to try and do like a sweep or a karate chop across through here, and that's bringing my back into rotation. But as that happens, you'll find more stuff happening in your hip. Now, interestingly, that position, if we put it all together for a reverse S-curve, so we're going to put the left leg out to the side, we're going to stretch the right leg. As we drop that hip down, it's a correction for the lumbar curve. As we lift the left hand up, it's a correction for the upper curve. As we take the right hand round in that karate chop, it's a correction for the upper curve as well. So I'm going to face away from you, so you can copy this exactly. So I'm stepping out to the left, I'm bending my left knee, I'm dropping down my right hip. There's the correction to that lower curve. Then this hand, I'm reaching up towards the ceiling. I'm letting my head tilt just a little bit. Taking this one through to the right, and I'm getting that little stretch into the upper curve and the lower curve. Good. Now if I take my hands and I use some momentum, load this leg, I can come back to the middle here. Now yesterday we did a stretch where we pushed this hip out to the side. So I want you to try that. You're actually going to step across here, push this hip out to the side, but then you're going to step back into that movement we just did, okay? So you're stepping down into here, hand goes up, arm comes across, come back, stretch the outside. Good, that's it. So now what we're doing is we're doing those bookends again. We're saying to the body, okay, here's the lateral movement of the hip. One way, called adduction, and here's abduction. So we're working this right hip, and we're getting a little specific correction to a reverse S-curve. All right, now, if you don't have a reverse S-curve and you have the opposite, if you have an S-curve, you'll be doing it the other way. Now, for those of you who don't have an S-curve, still do this, but you don't necessarily need to put the hands in. Or you can, it doesn't matter. It's all about getting mobility into the spine, okay? So with this one, we would step out with the right leg, drop down the left leg, feel a stretch in here somewhere, try and avoid the pinch on the outside. Remember, if you feel the pinch, just step this foot forward a bit more. Reach this hand up, take this other hand across like a karate chop, come back out of that, step across, get this stretch through here. Now this is hard to do, right? There's a balance component here. It doesn't matter if you sort of move your foot and get into the positions like this. You know, that's fine. I've been doing this for a while, so I can do it in one movement, but this might be the first time you're trying it, so doing it in several movements is fine. But just getting the idea, you know, these videos are going to go up onto my Facebook page and my YouTube, so you can revisit them whenever you want. And you'll see here I'm actually doing the opposite with the hands. So this is me getting my reverse S-curve, S-curve, reverse S-curve, S-curve. All right? So it's all about taking the body left and right, full body motions to help the brain reset where it thinks the middle is. All right, last thing we're going to do. I want you to get a weight or something like that. So, for example, I've got a speaker here, like something just really light, like a bottle of water, for me a speaker. Just looking around, you know, you can pick up anything. I've got a candle here, like whatever you've got in the house, just put something into your hand. And what we're going to do is this. We're going to take our weight, put it into our left hand. Remember, this is a view from behind. Put it into our left hand and reach it up this way. As we reach up this way, the muscles on this side that are long will actually start to contract. Once we contract those muscles, over time, we can actually start to get them to be shortened or increase the tone in them slightly, and they will help hold the correction in this upper back. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Right, so you've got your weight. We're going to stand facing the wall. Take your right hand, this is for this reverse S-curve. Take your right hand, reach forward just a little bit, taking that rib hump forwards. Put that weight into your hand here and then just reach up towards the ceiling. Now you can see my head is going down to the right because I want that curve to be corrected top down, but I don't necessarily want to take my weight over too much. So I'm going up and I'm feeling these muscles here contracting. The higher I reach, the more I picture this, an axis going through my body and me rotating on the axis. I'm not trying to get this movement, I'm trying to get this rotation really subtly within my upper back. There, it's good. Now, some of you might say, well, I've got a shoulder problem. I can't do that, no problems. Just grab an elastic band, if you have one, something like that. Throw it down here, and you can just lift up like this. All right, some of you might be saying, oh, I don't have an elastic band. Not a problem, grab the weight again, just put it down here. And this one takes a little bit more effort in your mind's eye to get it right, but literally you're just lifting up the weight here and taking your taking your head down to the right and correcting that curve from below. Did I say below? I meant above, silly me. All right, so you've got options. You've got weights, you've got bands, anything to get these muscles on the long side of the curve contracting and holding on to the movement that you've gained through all the mobility work. Okay guys, that's day number 3. Hope you enjoyed it. Watch the replay, go through these exercises and build them into your everyday routine. Take care.